Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is a long episode today, so I decided to separate it in two. First up, we're going to talk college basketball with Chucky Hoops and Og the Dog. We're going into deep details about the brackets. We're giving you plenty of time so that you have a time to set up your brackets and submit them, as well as any picks you guys want for Thursday. Then the second episode will come out, and that will be NBA and golf talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure to follow and like. Enjoy the show. Thank you.
This is First Step.
Hey, how's everyone going? Today is March 21st. It's the first day of college basketball. To my left, as always, Spring Hill 2010s. Hairiest chest. Javi.
That one actually 4 years running. Yeah. That wasn't just 2010.
That was a beautiful time. We also have Chucky Hoops.
What's up? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I love it. And, of course, the Dawg.
Wake up, San Francisco. What's going on, guys?
San Francisco. You look like an insane person.
You've never seen Full House? Come on.
I have.
Yeah. He is an insane person.
You look
Listen,
ridiculous.
He's an insane person.
This is the most normal Og's looked in weeks.
Yeah, he looks good. I was about to say, he looks really
He's
good.
actually got hair.
It's just another freaking Tuesday, to be honest.
Yeah, he looks
the,
great.
the sunglasses, the Vipers are incredible.
Oh, I love these, dude. Freaking Amazon, $10, even better. Knockoff Vipers, great. Great buy. Suggest it to everyone.
I've seen you rock them on the golf
real
course.
Vipers.
Bro, they're polarized. They're polarized, so I'm sorry.
It's that when your future's so bright that you have to wear those, because if not, things get dangerous. All right, guys, why are we going around the loop here? I don't really care about any of you guys, because right now it's college basketball time, and we should just dive straight in. Let's go.
By the way, I haven't missed a single bet. I'm a perfect 1-for-1 on college basketball for the NCAA tournament.
Oh, my God. You started betting already today?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I bet the Wagner game.
Did you bet any NIT by any chance?
No.
Oh, my God. No. I used to
I bet
watch
for
the shit
winners.
out of the
I bet
NIT,
for
by the way.
winners only. Everyone in the NIT, they're not good enough.
God, you guys didn't watch the NIT growing up, did you?
They didn't win.
I used to
I
love
was
the
not
NIT.
an NIT guy.
Oh, man, I loved it because it was still good teams. And I was like, oh, like these guys could have done better in the NCAA tournament. Like, why didn't they make it in? What
They
the
should
hell?
do a championship, a national championship versus an NIT. Trip.
That's what I always wanted.
You see who takes it.
It's like a Super Copa from like La Liga or one of
you
these.
see who takes it.
The only reason why I ever paid attention to the NIT, like in my teenage years, was because UM basketball
Yeah, 'cause
was
we
always in the
sucked.
NIT.
Yeah,
Exactly.
tournament.
That's really what it was.
And then when we would lose in the second or third round of the NIT, and that was
It
it.
is garbage.
That's
too.
exactly why I would watch a lot of NIT.
My favorite NITs growing up was the preseason NIT when they had
Yes,
16 teams
yes,
in
yes.
Madison Square Garden.
go.
That's what it was.
Throwback, right?
That's
That
what it
is.
was.
That is.
All right, guys. So let's jump straight in. Chucky Hoops, go ahead. Talk to me.
First of all, best week of the whole year. Can't wait. 48 games, 16 games Friday, 16 games Thursday, 8 Saturday and Sunday. Cannot wait. Before we get into bracket, I do got to say the committee shit themselves making this bracket.
Oh yeah.
Getting Virginia in there. Some of the seeding, I think the biggest travesty was Iowa State being the lowest rated 2 seed and getting in Connecticut's region. I think
Oh, man.
we saw what they did in the Big 12 tournament, what they've done all season, and how they blew out Houston in the Big 12 title
Arguably been
game.
top 3 all year.
They should have been in contention with North Carolina for that last 1 seed, but instead they got 2 seed and UConn's bracket, which I think is a travesty. But we got a bracket. We're ready to go. That's all that matters. Who cares? All that's in the past. Looking into it, I think to start off, we got to look at who's got the best chance to win a national title. And I think that age-old rule of top 25 offense and top 25 defense is what pretty much every national champion except for that UConn team with Shabazz Napier had. And the teams that qualify this year are UConn, Purdue, Arizona, Auburn, Creighton, Houston, Marquette, and North Carolina. So those are if you're making a bracket and you haven't hit submit yet, make sure one of your champions one of those.
That's like a good stat line to keep.
And we're really just giving everyone the answers.
I know, right? God, giving away everything. Go through the regions. Keep
All
going.
right, let's go. We got to start in the East.
Yeah.
Toughest region.
It's where the top overall seed UConn, last year's national champion,
There's
betting
more there, baby.
favorite.
There's more, baby.
But they are stacked.
Yeah,
that
that
region
sucks.
it's so unfair what they did to earn the top overall seed and give them the bracket that they gave them. They have 3 of the top 5 Ken Palm teams in their region. I think it's something like 5 of the top 11 are also in there, and it's just brutal. I still expect UConn to ultimately make it out. That's what I got in my bracket.
It's what's tough with
So
me.
I got a question. Is that why you were saying that the committee did such a bad job? Because UConn's pretty much considered the number 1 overall seed. They've been one of the number 1 teams all year, and now you're looking at it like,
Not all
is
year,
it
but yeah,
normal?
sure.
They've been a juggernaut the entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But they've messed
then-
with them. They haven't
yes.
given they just
Right,
didn't
but
want to.
my point is that then you look at the region, the number 1 overall seed shouldn't have the region of death.
Yeah, the toughest region.
The thing is that it's like top heavy, if you will. Like it's like they made that a juggernaut, and then everything else is like not everything, but it's everyone's significantly easier. It's like weird, like the distribution of like talented teams or top teams like was just thrown in there, and then a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah, it feels.
They also have these Final Four guys that were there last year too, right? They have FAU, San Diego State
all in their side of the bracket too.
on their side of the bracket. It's
so
gonna be
they
tough.
can see
Also
any of them.
Auburn, Iowa State.
Yeah, they got, in my opinion, the best 2 seed in Iowa State. I think either them or Tennessee is who I would say the best 2 seeds.
Damn,
and
that's
I think
tough,
they
though, 'cause I
got
like
easily
Marquette,
the
but-
best 4 seed in Auburn. So
Yeah, for sure.
of their top
Yeah.
4 seeds, and UConn's probably the best one. So you're talking about top 4 seeds, 3 of the seed lines. The best team is in the East region, and I just think it's unfortunate to have an unbalanced bracket. But again, the bracket
Hey,
we get
yeah.
is the bracket we get.
Exactly.
And we
Yeah,
make
the
do.
hands were dealt with.
Is Auburn gonna, I've just at this point I've been talking to friends and stuff about who they like, and I'm hearing a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm putting Auburn as that's my dark horse, Final Four seed." Everyone's huge on Auburn.
Well, Tennessee, they've had some unfortunate history. They're plagued. Auburn to some extent, even though they made the Final Four several years ago. But 2 years ago, you took them down. There's another very talented, deep team. But Carlos has mentioned before, like depth doesn't really make that much of a difference. Their wings aren't that great. I know that these are Chucky's takes, but it's all true. And but yeah, I mean they're talented. They're good. They can take down UConn any given day. But it's just UConn's really good, man.
I think Auburn is definitely a good team, good value bet if you want to roll the dice in your bracket. I think over half of the brackets are going to have UConn winning it all.
Yeah.
I think it's smart sometimes to fade the favorite, and you can have them losing early to Auburn. Auburn, to me, in my opinion, I don't love their backcourt. I don't think it's that great, but they play really hard. Their front court is deep, and anyone can beat you in that front court. They're super aggressive, play like a team. And the other thing is that they've been top 5 in KenPom all year. I know KenPom's not the end-all, be-all, but if you're going to start anywhere in college basketball, I think that's the best source. I think it's better than Seedline. Last year, at the start of the tournament, UConn was also a 4 seed and the 4th overall team in KenPom, and before they just absolutely ran through the tournament. So
still
I don't
got
expect
KD.
that same kind of
Pookie, baby.
dominance from Auburn, but I think it's a good value bet if you want to fade UConn and you're looking to take a chance. Auburn makes a lot of sense. Me personally, I'm a bigger fan of San Diego State. I think what Dutch has done there, they
The
made
D,
the Final
baby.
Four last year, and I think at plus 1,600, if you want to like get some value as a team and take a long shot, I think that's where I think the most value is.
I think I just want to make a quick comment on San Diego State and even UAB. Those two conferences, there's 8 teams, 3 from the American Athletic Conference that made it in, UAB, USF, and FAU. And the Mountain West had 5 teams go in. Has the Mountain West ever had more than 2?
No,
I
probably
mean,
No, what they've had is not a lot of success until last year with
With
they
San
always,
Diego State finally breaking
yeah,
through or whatever.
exactly, and everyone would fade them.
5
And
teams, 5 teams from that conference.
Yeah.
They had more than the ACC. I
That's
believe.
crazy.
Then,
I feel like they just threw Clemson. Just ACC, we can't make you look that bad. They should not have gotten it, nor should have UVA. But
And by the way, just as a quick note, Iowa State is not a team anyone wants to see. Like I
Yeah.
think for a lot of the season, I didn't think that highly of them just because
agreed.
they're Iowa State and they don't have a lot of NBA talent and things like that. But what they did in the Big 12 tournament made me like look back at their whole season a little differently. They passed.
They
Houston.
handled everyone.
Yeah, they passed Houston to have the #1 rated defense in adjusted defensive efficiency, and I think
And the backcourt.
yeah, and I think that's the most the most reliable predictive metric is that defense. I think that's the most consistent thing game to game. I think their offense ultimately is going to catch up to them against a team like UConn. I just don't think they have the firepower to keep up. But I wouldn't be shocked if they ride this all the way to the Final Four and a national title.
Wow.
I'm picking UConn over Iowa State, but if they were in any other region,
not a
they're a team.
surprise, yeah.
They're
They
another
were a
dark horse
team
you
that I
could
would
pick
have
if you wanna-
loved
if you wanna
to
go
pick.
contrarian
Yeah.
to UConn. Iowa State, why not? I think UConn's roads may be slightly tougher than Iowa State's road in terms of like
Yeah, I
everyone's
agree.
in
Everybody-
UConn's path.
Illinois won the Big Ten, so that's another
Yeah.
team in
Yeah,
UConn's
that's
region.
another one in that.
Taryn Shannon is like
Oh,
easily
man, he's
a top
NBA.
3 or 4 player
I
in
don't
the
know
country.
why.
Transferred from Texas Tech, 6'6".
I've been pretty
Homie.
like bullish on UConn like a lot of people this year, but like now that we're like a week,
48 hours. But
no, I know, but like they're saying for like last week, like from a week, it started like a week ago, where I started to get this feeling where like little by little, I'm starting to see, man, especially now after Sunday when we saw like the brackets come out and you guys have been talking about how their road is like pretty tough.
You got that,
and like you were just saying how like just between them and Iowa State, if you look at the road, like UConn's gonna have to face a lot more. Man, I don't know. I think this could be a good year. Just have a crazy UConn #1 overall seed upset again.
No, absolutely. But like you get back into it, we were hard on it in terms of betting. We got you guys into it, and you guys actually watched. We had games. There was 150 games last week in conference basketball, and I get it. You can't necessarily look at conference champions and go with them or whatever. But you got to see a lot of basketball last week and see a lot of these teams play at a high level. So you all of a sudden get infatuated, and then you realize, wait a minute, I've always considered UConn at this level, but man, these guys are all freaking good. I mean, like. Houston or whatever is still very good, and Iowa State just took it to them. Wisconsin's like getting onto a heater. Illinois is still nasty. Like it's who do I pick out of these guys? I still hate Purdue, but
I mean, look. Bottom line is, I still have UConn, even though with the region and everything like that, I still got UConn winning it all. I said all season if
that's why you make 2 brackets, baby.
If Donovan Clingan was healthy, I just think he gives them a defensive ceiling that just make their offense. Obviously, with Danny Hurley's coaching, the NBA sets that they run are just incredible. And
they got size.
I just got a backcourt, Tristan Uden, they can hit everything. Spencer. Cam Spencer's annoying as hell, but he's a great player.
Yeah.
Tristan Uden's been stepped up from a role-playing starter to being an All-American and their best player. And I just think UConn is the likeliest to win it all.
Yeah, it's what you guys have been saying. I feel like the East it's a very competitive bracket and region, but I think at the end of the day, UConn's just nasty right now. They've been playing like big dogs, so smart money's on them, but
it's very difficult to pass on them. I mean, it's.
I do think last year's team was better and more complete.
Sure,
but they're still great. And Danny Hurley's just such an incredible coach.
God, cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about in the East?
No, I think we covered it all.
Let's go ahead and jump across the bracket to the South. A lot of good programs, a lot of historically good programs on that side. A lot of big names.
Give us some.
Houston sits on top, big dogs. You also have the classics. You have Kentucky, Duke, Marquette are on there. What do you guys think about that bracket? Who are you guys looking for? What are you guys looking out?
Yeah, Houston, Purdue, and UConn I put together this year, and that you can have your own feelings on how good you think each of those teams have been, but by every metric, by every ranking all season, by resume, those 3 teams have all been like in their own group all season. I think Houston, of all the 1 seeds, their portion of the bracket I think is the easiest of any of the 1 seeds. I think they have the easiest path to the Elite 8. I do think is a talented team, a good team. They have high metrics. I have a tough time trusting them. I just don't think from a toughness perspective, I think they made a lot of improvements in ACC play similar to North Carolina. And I don't think the type of play, it was just not a typical year in the ACC when it comes to the type of teams you played game in, game out.
They just weren't competitive.
You can say we want about UNC. I still think R.J. Davis and that team can really turn it on. I don't think Duke can turn it on the way UNC can turn it on. But yeah, I agree. Duke, great coach. Shire's got his little boy to Coach K or whatever. He's got the system going. They got good players. But yeah, I think they can easily be upset, take them out of their game to some extent, slow things down. Like they got beat several times in the SEC. They had a bunch of close games against opponents that they maybe shouldn't have. So yeah, I don't think Duke is. I'm taking Houston 10 out of 10 times if they face each other.
But I do think
if Duke gets there.
Talk to me about the bottom half of the South.
Texas Tech, NC State, no one cares. They're not making it past the second round either. Whoever makes it back.
Yeah, I guess.
And then we have Kentucky. I forgot where we got cut off, but Kentucky's great. Similar to Bama, a bunch of offense. They can score like crazy. No defense. They can easily be beaten also. Can they get through? Can they pull an upset? Sure. They played in the SEC all year. SEC's had or has the second best conference, if you will. They're definitely somewhat battle tested, but I don't expect much. I think that they can be stopped. And then who do we have?
Talk to us about your team, the Marquette Golden Eagles.
Oh, you want to go all the way down there? Okay.
No, yeah, because I know that's your squad. I know that's your squad.
Dude, in Maui, they were nasty. They surprised everyone. I forgot what they were ranked at the time, if they were even ranked.
Nah, they were top 10.
Yeah. Oh, they were top 10?
Yeah.
They
preseason.
smacked up Kansas, though. Kansas, they could not keep up. And the Big East is still, they're the ones that got screwed. UVA, Clemson got in. I don't necessarily know about Seton Halls or the Providences, but definitely St. John's should have been able to get in, for God's sakes. They at least made it to their conference championship.
That was the biggest snub of the tournament, right?
Semis. Oh, no, St. John's They weren't. It's hard to say who the
They're
biggest.
close though, man. I mean,
They were.
like,
It wouldn't be crazy.
I want to ask you guys both that question. Who is the biggest snub?
I wouldn't say
I'm gonna
there's
take
one.
St. John,
I think the biggest snub is just any of these teams over Virginia. Virginia going is
everybody
just,
over.
no, but even Clemson. I don't think Clemson.
No,
Clemson,
but Clemson's my issue is their seeding. Being a 6 seed with their resume
that's
is,
terrible.
is
That's
just
terrible.
not
Yeah,
good.
not so
That's
much a
terrible.
snub, just where they like.
Give me Wake Forest instead of Clemson. Or you?
Clemson is not even favored in their first game, and they're a 6 seed. So that's all you need to know about Clemson.
Understood.
Yeah, I liked Wake Forest for a while there this year.
But yeah, to touch in that
Just put it
South,
at home.
In that bottom half,
yeah, Mark. To me, the most fascinating, and I don't say this just as a Florida fan,
And
is
Cole's
just
coming back. We'll see.
yeah, that little quadrant there with Marquette. Like Ox said, Kolek right now, who's their All-American best player, came back this year. He came back for a reason, and that was to take Marquette to a Final Four. A sneaky thing, Shaka Smart has not found any tourney success since that famous Final Four run with VCU.
Yeah.
And that's with a lot of good Texas teams. He may have been screwed with one of his better Texas teams
Yes.
being during the pandemic, but regardless, hasn't done it in the tournament since, including last year when they had a really nice year. Boise State, Colorado is a really
it.
intriguing matchup.
Love
Two
it.
very different styles.
Another Mountain West team in there.
Yeah, Colorado's NBA talent, really good offense. Tad Boyle is a good coach, play fast. Boise State, almost the complete opposite. Team-oriented, good defense, good front court, really well coached. Ox said Mountain West. Like when you think of Mountain West and you think that style of basketball, that's what Boise State does.
I could be wrong. I don't know if because I like Colorado and I think Colorado can make some upsets as a 10. I think Boise can beat Colorado, but I don't know if Boise can get further than that win.
Yeah,
but
like
I
who
think
has
Colorado
who has
gets
the
through.
longest legs in the tournament?
As a Gator matching up with either team, I think Colorado's better overall than Boise State, but I'm more scared of Boise State as far as how we match up. Florida is a team that plays a lot of offense, not a lot of defense, plays pretty fast, one of the faster teams in the tournament. And I think Colorado, since they play a similar style, like when we've played teams a similar style, Kentucky, Alabama, who are better versions of Colorado,
You've taken it to them.
we've won games or lost close games. We really always play well in those situations. Playing a team like Boise State, who I would analogize as far as Florida's played someone like South Carolina, really takes us out of what we want to do and can disrupt us, especially coach. Like one, to get into Florida a little bit, because I hope you guys can indulge me a couple takes. This is the team I've watched more than any other.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Is
Yeah, and great podcast, guys.
you can stop recording here. I just want to talk Florida basketball. I don't care. I don't care if
I don't care if anybody's listening.
I don't care. I don't care if anyone's
I
listening.
will commend you on the Florida pullover.
this
That is
is-
definitely
It
good
is
gear.
very nice.
I don't have
Nice
the
little
Jordan
swag there.
Gator
Yeah, yeah.
pullover. That is fresh.
like it.
Jordan
It is.
always
I mean,
Jordan
no,
brand,
fuck that.
only
No.
SEC
Fuck
Jordan
that.
brand. If you watch any Todd Golden coach Florida team, you know what he wears on the sideline. I know it usually doesn't have a hood, but it's my closest thing to what Todd Golden wears on the sideline every game. But the Florida team, like I said, all offense, not a lot of defense. Really good backcourt, all SEC, both players, Walter Clayton and Zion Pullen.
Missing their
One of-
starting center though, but
Yeah, one of the things that we're known for is our offensive rebounding. We play two big men in a way that most teams don't. We're one of the most unique personnel groupings, but we did lose our starting center. I think he was our fourth most effective big man, but
Brutal. Injury.
Yeah,
If
dude.
I mean
anyone
the
saw
injury in
that,
general. I mean,
like,
God.
if you're listening, you didn't
Jesus.
see that. Google
Compound
it.
fracture. Good
So
God.
we talked about it, and then I did the bad thing, and I
you
looked
looked
it
at
up.
it. Nah, I didn't look
Oh,
at
no,
it.
I-
You could hear the bones
Oh,
snap
no,
on TV.
Yeah, you could hear the
Like,
bone
on the-
snap.
Can you guys feel it? I feel it happening to my leg right now.
I've seen
I'm out, dude. I'm about to throw up.
yeah. No.
I've seen an arena go silent. I've never seen a broadcast go silent for that long. It was like it felt like 10 straight minutes of just silence as they just tried to figure out what was going on. It
I
was
don't know what's
awful.
worse because I saw live. I forgot what team it was. Oh man,
it Kentucky,
Was
the
it
guy
St.
from-
John's? The guy that like tore
Well,
up his leg. Like
There was the Kevin Ware.
Louisville. I was going to a red team, Louisville. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that was
that
and
was
he was
crazy.
good, bro. He was.
Oh yeah, he ended up having a pro career
Yes,
overseas.
yes.
He ended up like getting. It's in a weird way. Those broken bones you can heal more easily.
With Sean
than
Livingston,
some
obviously another
tendons and
famous
things
Yeah,
one.
they're
that.
like ligaments and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
At least they're
Paul George on the ball stand
Yes,
and the
yes.
basketball stanchion and Team USA
Yeah.
was another famous one.
But
But
Kevin Durant had something similar to that one as Paul George, didn't he, or no?
No, it
no,
was
it's
just
Achilles.
Achilles.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
He blew his Achilles.
But yeah, this Florida team, I honestly think
Sucks.
it's a team that plays really well against better teams. I know we have a good record against teams worse than us, but that's like a product of a lot of close wins. And I think our performance against teams, like I'm a lot more worried about our first round matchup. And if we're able to survive that, I think it's a team that could make a run. Obviously,
An Elite Eight, Sweet 16?
Yeah, Marquette is a better team than us. If we face Kentucky in Sweet 16, I think it's a pretty even matchup, especially with the styles. But I have us losing second round to Marquette, but I think that would be a great game.
I was about to ask you, how early do I put
No,
Florida?
but I'm also superstitious
First
about
round,
that.
second round.
No, I think they're good money. I think any of those teams, Colorado, Boise State, and Florida, are good money to beat.
Hey man,
Marquette.
Florida
I think
made it to the
Marquette
finals,
is a
man.
tough-
I feel like a team, what they experienced, that poor guy. There's definitely something that was taken out of those Florida players. There was guys on the bench crying, for God's sakes, when the broadcast began.
Are you saying they're like, what, they're going to rally and play
They
them
can't.
and,
Why
like,
not?
blah,
Why,
blah, blah?
like,
I just
give Golden a couple
mean,
days to like,
I
all
don't-
right.
I don't buy
would-
any of that. But
I'm never going to pick Florida to beat
Oh, yeah, no,
Dwayne
neither
Wade's
will I.
alma mater. I just won't do it.
Out of
Respect. Out of respect.
And Jimmy Butler's. And Jimmy,
what about Steve Novak's?
Out of respect for Wade County, I would never do that. If Florida plays Marquette, that's when
Keep
they
begging my
that's when they lose.
Just one last thing about Florida, because I know we have a lot of Miami fans. At least last year, Miami fans. I don't know what they are this year. I don't think they watch that much. But
the dig.
this
That
is
was a
from
dig.
this is from Evan
to do
Maya.
that.
This is from Evan Maya, who is one of my favorite follows and a big. He's like a PhD in math. College basketball is full of these nerds who just do college basketball analytics on the side. And he said if they can survive their first game, Florida profiles a lot like Miami in 2023. They play their best against elite teams and have great guards.
How dare
I saw
and Florida
that
the
same.
freaking
I guess somebody had
sentence.
reposted it. I saw the same thing on social.
Miami
media.
doesn't,
Yeah.
but
Somebody
Florida
showing-
doesn't have that same swag that does have that.
Look, but similar to
Agreed.
Miami last year was losing with 30 seconds to go against that Drake team in the first round.
Yes, they were.
And then,
Yes, they were.
And then made a run.
And Drake's back,
if,
baby.
If Florida makes any, I'm not saying Final Four. I don't think that at all. But to make a Sweet 16, Florida's going to be playing extremely tight games each way there, and
It's
all
what
of
I'm
them
saying.
are losable.
Florida's a high-scoring offense. If their defense shows up just a little bit, they have a chance to beat
You
anybody.
taking those points if they get any?
Actually, when you think about it, tournament styles, sometimes you've talked about it before, how some of these teams come into the tournament and they could be a great offensive team, and then they just struggle to shoot these tournaments or whatever. If Florida could come in, I know they have bad defense,
If Florida doesn't hit,
but
it's
if they
gonna
come in and they're
struggle.
playing well and their offense is clicking and
yeah.
they're playing just okay defense, yeah, they could go into
Absolutely.
they could go into a game like Marquette. Marquette has one of these off tournament, these random games that we always see where all of a sudden these college kids show up to a tournament game and they can't make anything.
Marquette is not a great rebounding team, and that's
Nope.
what Florida does best is offensive rebound. So obviously, if Tyler Kolek is
play a very
healthy,
fast game,
it's just a different beast. But if he's not healthy, and by the way,
and we've seen Marquette struggle.
I
without him.
don't think this, but Western Kentucky is a weird team to
They
play
are,
first. The
and
15 seed,
They
the
can hit
num-
threes, baby.
the number one fastest team in the country. They play the fastest pace of any team in the country, and it's just always uncomfortable when a team plays such a distinct style of play like that. I don't think Marquette's gonna have an issue whether Tyler Kolek is healthy or not.
you never know.
But I think it's
But-
cool
But
to
that,
highlight
that's a
those
perfect
type of
example of what I
things.
was saying. Like that, that's a team right there where if Marquette comes out in the first round and they're just off for whatever reason,
or slightly off.
just slightly off, they're just they have a bad shooting first half.
They shoot 30.
You're
under
not
40%.
careful. All of a
Hey.
sudden, things get away from you. Momentum
They
goes.
do, yeah, and
This
you-
team is just running and gunning, and you're behind. You're shooting bad. You're just running up and down the court the whole time. You can never really catch a rhythm. Yeah, you could. That's where we start seeing these crazy upsets.
It's a
where
single
that's
elimination.
when-
It's a single
yeah,
elimination
a team out of
tournament.
nowhere. in one
Anything can
game.
happen.
No one's expecting a team like that. That's just so fast.
It's not a 7-game series where
Exactly.
Anybody can win.
Right.
It's one game. It's
By the
one
way,
point.
The madness. That's
Make
why
one
we
late
love it.
run.
why
You
they
make
call it the
That's
man.
why
it's a
we
game
love
of
the
runs,
man-
dude.
that's
Make
why we
one
love
late
the
match.
man.
a couple quick big picture just to get it back to
On
the
the
to the
South.
bracket as
Yeah.
a whole. Number one is in my bracket, I still have Houston getting out. I think partly I just think I'm not a huge fan of this Duke team, and I was between Marquette and Houston. I chose Houston, but I do think the best value, and I hate this team, but at plus 850, Kentucky, while being very inconsistent all season, has shown that their highs are as good as any team in the country.
Yeah.
And at plus
Yeah,
850, I think that's enough value where betting that for the region makes a lot of sense. And then one other thing to highlight is this region is home to my favorite 12-5 matchup. I know that's famous. I don't think this year, I don't know how much I love every 12-5. I like a lot of the 12s, but I also like a lot of the 5s. But I do think the most vulnerable will be James Madison over Wisconsin.
James Madison hasn't lost a game since January. So
Yeah,
It's wild. I saw that.
Yeah.
And I
That's
get it.
a
It's like
wild
small
stat.
conference, but it's still impressive. These guys are used
Yeah,
to
but
winning.
I don't
They
care.
know how to win.
You won 31 games this year.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of
That's a lot
basketball
of
games.
juice.
I don't
That's a
care
lot
if you're
of juice.
playing
No,
who you're
yeah,
playing.
yeah, absolutely.
So they
And the
beat,
level of play in small conferences has definitely risen too. Go
Oh,
ahead.
we saw it.
they beat Michigan State to start the year.
Yeah.
So that's
Which that's a legit win.
I
I
think
mean,
that's a
look,
great.
I'm sold.
That's my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
That's my
It's-
favorite.
All I
5-12
needed was
upset.
Chucky Hoops' favorite
Yeah.
upset, and I was already sold.
Let me
but
tell you,
I
Wisconsin.
yeah.
I just want to know why. Just
Yeah.
you know, more for the listeners. I was already gonna tail it.
It's like Temple being Villanova. I get it. Villanova's not in, but still.
All right, my man. I know you got to get out of here. Do you want to give us any final takes before you do?
Purdue out early.
I like it.
My best upset that I love is McNeese State over Gonzaga, and it's just UConn's taking it again. You just put all
Go
your money on
UConn.
UConn.
Okay.
Don't
I
even
know,
waste your
I
time
know
on
you got to
dark
go,
horses.
but you can't drop McNeese State against Gonzaga and not give
Similar to James Madison.
Quick tidbit.
Similar to James Madison. We talked about them. You mentioned them, and I thought they actually slipped into that category of a top 25 on offense and defense, but I guess I forgot their metric or whatever. But either way, similar to James Madison, they also haven't lost a game all year in conference. I don't think they've lost a game actually in conference.
They lost one.
They lost one, and I think their out of conference wasn't great, but they did handle it. They have three losses in the year, and I forgot who their good wins are in out of conference, but like they are good.
UAB,
Louisiana.
VCU, and Michigan.
which are solid, still solid wins.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
very solid.
They
wins.
also beat
Tournament teams.
Biblical Studies and Champion Christian. Some random teams that they played.
Yes,
Biblical
yes.
Studies
The
as a
classic
basketball
biblical
team.
studies
And
team.
they beat a team by 92-23, and their name was Mississippi University for Women. I don't even know how they have a men's
basketball
Oh,
team.
you know?
You know what? They worked them. They
20
What was the score of that game?
92-23.
2024.
Oh
Maybe they
my
identify as men. That's why they were able to get through it.
I
Got it.
want to look that up. I'm going to look that up after the
crazy.
show. Like,
Oh, God.
Also, their coach is Will Wade, former LSU coach.
Yeah.
The
really?
Dog. Thank
All
you
right,
so much
guys.
for coming.
I got to go.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having me.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate
We're going to
it.
take a quick pause. We'll be right back.
Hell yeah, guys. All right, later. Peace.
All right. All right. So the Dog left. It's just us three idiots. Let's jump into the West. Let's look at the bracket.
Finally,
see what we
we
got.
can get some real work
Finally,
done.
finally, we can get real conversations about college basketball.
Yeah, the
West.
dog was hot. Don't.
Dog-
Get me-
yeah,
he was hot during the conference.
The Dog made my whole champ week. He killed it.
I was going back and forth all of like when we were posting the picks between Chucky Hoops and Dog. Like I would rotate days, and I think I just got on like the right cadence.
You were
'cause,
ham
like,
and egging it?
I was ham and egging it. So,
dude, I was
like
good,
I had
dude.
a stretch. I had a 4-day stretch there where I was like, I gotta look it up, but I was probably like 12-2 in my picks. I was like
That's amazing.
4-0 Chucky Hoops, 5-1 Og the Dog.
We said when we like 2 podcasts ago, we said, hey, this is a time, build your bank, get it done. About to get into March Madness. This is when you want the bank to be loaded.
Oh.
And Og the
And I
Dog
did
and
it.
Chucky Hoops
They
loaded
came-
up my bank.
They came,
thank
came
you.
through, and I ham and egged it perfect.
yeah.
because I only picked one of them each night, and I was like, I'm hammering them.
Do
Like,
we,
I'm
do we
hammering their
get something
plays.
for Chucky Hoops and Og the Dog?
Did we what?
Should we get them something? No.
No,
Screw
no,
those two
let's
guys. Screw those guys.
let's survive this weekend. Let's see
Screw
where
this.
we're at on
Yeah,
Monday.
but-
Let's see how they do. Let's say do their round one.
We're about
Let's see how they
to
do
lose a lot of years off our lives right now this weekend.
yeah.
So
All right,
there's
so
a
let's
lot
jump
of
into the
stress.
West. Let's jump into the West. That's the UNC top dogs. What do you think, Chucky? Where do you think we're standing? I know UNC's the weakest top seed. Would you say? Oh, maybe Purdue. Maybe
a
after
lot of
Purdue.
people would say Purdue. I would say it's UNC. I think the West, to me, it's the most wide open, and mainly because I think UNC is the weakest one. I think UNC is great, like really good team. RJ Davis, All-American, talent all over the board. Armando Bacot's a former All-American. They've really found their identity as a team, and they're really good. That being said, my favorite long shot in the whole tournament is in this bracket, and that's Chris Jans coached and Josh Hubbard led Mississippi State. They play the type of basketball that I just absolutely love come tournament. They play really good defense. They have reliable shot makers. They're big, physical, slow it down. Ultimately, North Carolina will be playing in Charlotte, which I think is going to be tough to overcome. It's going to be basically a home atmosphere for them, but it's not their arena. And at the end of the day, I think in the ACC, they haven't seen a team like Mississippi State. And while Mississippi State's been playing teams like Alabama, like Auburn, like Kentucky, that I think are pretty similar to North Carolina's a better version of them, but they're the same style of team. And I think Mississippi State will be more prepared for that matchup. And I just think North Carolina will be a little uncomfortable to start the game. Obviously, Vegas is going to make them favorite. They should be favored, but I think it's a gamble that I'm rolling the dice on.
Nice.
And I'm excited. I just really like this Mississippi State team. Of course, anytime you make a big bet on an 8-9, they're going to be playing a good team in round one. You're talking about 50-50, but at some point, if you want to do well in a bracket pool, you got to roll the dice.
I hate to interrupt, but I saw something that historically 9 seeds awful in the tournament. Is that true?
8 seeds and 9 seeds it's a weird situation where they usually don't do well. If you see like their average, how deep they get into a tournament, it's since they play the 1 seed, it's dreaded because you almost never see the next weekend, Sweet 16. But if they get through the weekend, they're more likely than a 7 seed to make the Final Four. And that's because if you're able to somehow beat the 1 seed, first of all, it means you're really good.
Right.
Second of all, you take over that 1 seed slot. So you're playing the easier team the rest of the way. You take over their part of the bracket. So while 2's most likely playing a 3 seed, you're playing the 4 seed. So you usually have the easier side. And we've seen that in the past 8 seeds. Kentucky famously beat Wichita State in a crazy, one of the best March Madness games ever. And once they took over their side of the bracket, they went all the way to the national title game and lost there to UConn.
Okay.
I got a question for you here because I like Mississippi State a lot too. And I was thinking about picking them to beat UNC also. But so I haven't made an official pick. But my question there is because I think you said you have Arizona coming out of that bracket.
Yeah. Also,
so at what point do you think a team like Mississippi, like who's going to take on Mississippi State if they get past UNC at that point? Is it going to be Arizona? Do you have them going all the way to the Elite Eight? Or
so Alabama is a team I'm fading. Ultimately, they've been really high in the metrics all year, which is something I usually pay a lot of attention to. But it's
Florida
been all
was one of those teams that took it to Alabama. Right?
Yeah, like Alabama's just can't defend anything. Like their defense, even when Nate Oates has been talking about they need to improve defensively, they've only gotten worse since then. And in their most important games, they've defended the worst. So that's just not a team that I think is worth trusting. I think St. Mary's is really interesting. They're a team that historically under Randy Bennett has been there forever. They've done incredibly well to get to the tournament, but they have not had a signature tourney run. I think this is St. Mary's best chance to make a Final Four and make that kind of run. I think they've got a really good team. They were the best in the West Coast Conference with Gonzaga. They beat Gonzaga on the road. Then when Gonzaga made that run to secure their space in the tournament, they beat St. Mary's at their place. But St. Mary's came back and was super impressive in the West Coast Conference tournament to win it. And that's a team that I think their odds at 10-1 to win it, to win their region and make the Final Four, I think are really interesting.
Cool.
The metrics like them, they're good.
Yeah,
the bottom side of the bracket, ultimately, I'm picking Arizona. That's not a team I have full faith in, but like I said, it's a wide open region. I think Baylor's a really intriguing team.
yeah, I know you had put a future on Baylor.
Yeah, partly because
And now you're picking Arizona to come out of I know it's different because one's a future, one's your bracket play, but
I'm not like I can make a prediction on the team and like I'm fine coming off that prediction. Baylor's defense just never came around in the way I expected. They're still a really good team, a team that I could absolutely I think they're a really good value play to make the Final Four. They got Dennis at point guard, who I think is really good. They shoot a lot of threes and make a lot of threes. Really fun to watch. Scott Drew, obviously a championship coach. We saw them win the national title and have made runs in the past. So they make a lot of sense to trust.
But they're living and dying by their defense, basically.
Yeah, I don't think their defense that great. And it never improved in the way that I expected. So ultimately, I'm not going to have them in the Final Four. But Tommy Lloyd in Arizona's a program that it doesn't matter who the coach is. It's been a long time since we've seen them make the type of run that matches what their talent level has been. So they've had those really good teams, 1 seeds, 2 seeds, and still haven't made a Final Four in I don't know exactly how long, but it's been over a decade. And this is, I think, their best chance in a long time. I'm picking them. Tommy Lloyd, I think, is a really good coach, former Gonzaga assistant. It'll be interesting to see if they can finally do it. I know we talked earlier about Mississippi State being North Carolina. North Carolina is still the favorite to get out of this region. I think them and Arizona have very similar odds, which I think is fair. I think North Carolina is a really good team. I think they make a lot of sense. But at some point when you're making a bracket, you can't just pick all 1 seeds and you got to stake your flag. But the one other team I want to highlight in this region is New Mexico.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We touched on it earlier with Clemson being of those single digit seeds, the lowest rated by the metrics and the most undeserving, in my opinion, of their seed. New Mexico straight up is just a favorite in this game. So it's not even an upset. I know usually when you're picking 11/6, it's an upset. Rick Pitino's son is the coach, and they played really well, especially down the stretch. I think they got kind of shortchanged with their seed, and Clemson probably got bumped up with their seed, and this is a game that I expect New Mexico to win.
Yeah, I think they're even a Sweet 16.
Yeah, I have them beating Baylor, but that's a bracket thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when it comes down to.
Man, you're really coming off that Baylor Final Four future.
I still like it. I got it
off that hard.
Yeah, I got it at plus 800 in December. Right now they're plus 650 to win this region, so there's still value there. But I just think plus 650 isn't the best odds. I like just pure odds play. I still think North Carolina and Arizona are the likeliest to get out of this region. But from odds, I think getting Mississippi State at 20-1 or St. Mary's at 10-1 is the good long odds.
Before we get off of the West, you gave us a story earlier, And here's the
Yes.
This is the
I'm
kind,
in a situation.
This
here.
is the kind of story that I love
This
to
is the
lean.
story
I
I-
bet way too much money on a
I
situation.
put
like
way
this.
too much thought into this. Long Beach State University.
Long Beach State,
yeah.
the beach.
Okay, they're going against Arizona, and I know you have Arizona going deep.
Yeah.
But talk to us about Long Beach State.
No, they have.
Don't talk to us. Just tell everybody.
Yeah.
Tell the people the
This
story,
is-
and so we
to
can all
me-
hammer Long Beach State and bust your bracket round one.
Hey, you know
Round
what?
one, bust
If
the
Long
bracket.
Beach State does it, I'll happily have a busted bracket.
Yeah.
Long Beach State is led by their coach Dan Monson. He's been there for 17 years, and Monday of last week he was unceremoniously relieved of his duties, fired.
Pieces of shit. What?
Just absolutely fired.
This guy
Scumbag.
has a
And-
family. He's
and you know
got,
what?
you know,
Because he loved his team so much, he said, "You know what? I'll stick around and I'll coach these guys to the end of the season."
Legend.
Amen.
And
dude.
4 seed, and I think it's the Big West tournament. They went through, ran through that thing, beat UC Urbana, and made,
Yeah, boy.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
they won. And now they're in. And you know what?
Shove it right down their
I want them to
face.
beat Arizona, make a run, and that administration comes crawling back and asks Dan Monson
exactly.
to stay
And I
on.
hope he walks away.
I hope
I hope he just
doesn't
walks
do it.
away. I hope they look.
See ya. I'm
I
gonna
have-
retire.
I'm hoping for at least Sweet 16. If he gets in the Sweet 16, dude, that guy's gonna get a job somewhere. I don't care where.
Yeah,
He's gonna get it.
He's older and stuff, but it was.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not
he's
ageist
old,
in this
man.
podcast.
But
Doesn't
he's
matter.
okay.
But it's
let the guy retire.
It is the story of the tournament. If
That's
mean,
a guy
honestly-
who wants to win.
I feel if they were just let's say they only beat Arizona. They beat Arizona and they lose the next round.
be happy
I don't know
with
who
that,
would they play in the night.
it would be Nevada,
Dayton or
or Nevada.
Okay, so whatever. Let's say one either Dayton or Nevada beats them in the second
Yeah.
round. I still think that's the story. of
Yeah,
the tournament.
oh,
Like,
no
Yeah,
doubt.
absolutely.
15
I mean,
beats 2.
If they cover the
seed got in
spread,
as a
it's
four.
the
Yeah,
second.
exactly.
If they
That's
cover
what I'm
the
talking
spread.
about. So
I just
this
think
is the type of
I'm
bet.
going
I mean,
so hard on this
I'm
guy.
gonna-
I'm gonna go so hard on him.
Like,
Like, no one
I may
else.
pick Arizona to win I may not actually to win that game in my bracket, but there is no way I am not going to be absolutely.
That's a
all
guy fighting for. That's
over
a team
the
fighting
spread
for
on this game.
for their reputation. That's a team
know.
that's fighting.
does
Wait, is he
anyone
getting
have-
paid? Is he getting paid for this?
He's got to be getting
God,
paid.
man, that's
I hope he had a
Is he just, like,
buyout. I hope he had.
Because that
I
might
hope he
change
had
my
it
that
all.
might change my bet, dude. Just like why am I keep going to this if I'm not getting paid for it? I have to travel all. over
No,
the
it's
place.
even more. He's doing this for pride.
That's
I
true.
know.
He's doing it. He's doing this for his boys that he's been coaching.
young men that
his young men that he's been
molding.
raising. He's been molding, and they're all playing for him. We're gonna win this
That could
for
be the
coach. We're gonna send him out 17 years. We're gonna send him out with a national title run in the tournament. Come on, man. This is exactly like we're gonna see a movie.
They're
like,
gonna lose by
They're gonna-
50.
They're gonna make a movie about
They're gonna
this guy.
either- They're gonna make a movie. They're gonna lose by 50, or they're gonna make a movie out of it. There's no other result here. Like
I want to know. I want to know in the first minute what I'm in for.
I know. I put it up. I'm betting this
We're
one
either
live.
gonna
Dude.
see
I'm betting this guy
Arizona just-
live.
dunking on the team.
It's gonna look like a Harlem Globetrotter game.
Or we're gonna be watching a movie. I'm gonna take my kid to the theater opening day to see this movie. Be like, your dad wants so much money on this game that we're going to watch the movie.
Oh my god! I can't wait till tell Nacho. Hey, I lost
Can
all
we
your
look really
college
quick?
funds on Long Beach State.
Is the spread? What's the
Yeah, I'll
spread on
check
that
it.
game?
You could be the guy who won a bet by betting Arizona minus 24, or you could be the legend who had
legend, dude.
Long
Yes.
Beach money line.
Oh, please
and
tell
hit
me
it.
the spread.
Oh, I was gonna bet the spread money line. That's in the whole man. Could you imagine the balls?
I'm putting them in my tournament. I think I might put them in my bracket.
in your bracket. No, see, I don't
No,
know. in my
no,
bracket.
I would
I'm gonna
not do
bet the
that.
hell out of it, but
Oh man, I'd be happy. Yeah, to
So
be fair,
Arizona's favored by 20.5.
oh my god,
I'm betting the spread on that.
that's like a 10-unit
I'm gonna
bet
bet
for me right now. Just gonna go over the top on
I'm
that.
gonna go so hard.
This is for Dan Monson.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make shirts. Dan Monson. Never forget.
Never forget.
15 in your brackets, number one in your heart.
What's Long Beach's mascot?
I think it's the beach. I'm pretty sure.
It's just is it really
swear to
the
God.
Long Beach?
I'm
beach,
looking it up right
beachers?
now.
Like what's
That's an awful name. That's an awful name. They're called the Long Beach.
I can't believe he stayed for 17 years and that was the name of the team. I would have left like, dude, your team.
Who
this
we
team
nearly
is-
get fired as the marketing guy, dude. Please find this out. Are they the
How,
Long
do you,
Beach?
how are you the like? How's the beach your mascot? Like, how do you dress up as the beach? Like,
Sand, just
They
sand
are-
and needles.
I'm looking at it now. Like I said, they're Long Beach State Beach.
No, it's impossible.
Look, I do the name The Beach. Like, that's just your name. But when you put it all together, it just doesn't work.
It's Long State Beach, the beach.
Long Beach,
State Beach.
Long Beach State, The Beach.
University of Long Beach State, the
Oh
beach.
God, I hate to
That
make
is
fun
a
of them.
mouthful.
It's not their fault, but that's a bad name, dude.
How's that not their fault?
The team's fault. It's not the
named the
team's
team.
fault.
Like,
It's not the team's fault. It's the university's fault.
Nah, I could still make fun of the university.
You-
And I can also make fun of the team. You decided to go play for the beach.
I see, it gets worse than that. I'm looking at their Wikipedia page.
no.
They officially changed their nickname to Beach from the 49ers in the 2020 season. So they used to be Long Beach State 49ers. And for some reason,
nice.
they decided to go for
That rolls off the
rep
tongue.
Beach.
Now they decided to go for repetition and go with Long Beach.
The beach.
Honestly, it sounds like a bad movie title, The Beach.
I like the name The Beach. The beach
Hey,
is sick.
I got one message for Arizona. Welcome to the beach.
There you go. See, that's what I'm
Welcome to
saying.
the
It's
beach,
great.
baby.
It's a great thing. It's a
Hey,
great
welcome
name.
to the beach. Not
like
when your name's Long State Beach.
Now your name.
You keep saying Long State Beach. It's Long
Oh,
Beach
Long
State.
Beach State. Long Beach State.
Long Beach State.
That's
We can't even get Long Beach State.
It's the worst
It
name
doesn't
in the
even
history.
matter. It doesn't matter how you organize
Oh,
the first part of that
God.
name. They're
All
called The
right.
Beach.
Anything else we have to talk about the West under
no,
the
no.
awful
Let's
name?
get to the Midwest and everyone's favorite one seed to fade.
So I love the Midwest is wild because I feel like anybody here, nobody knows what to do on the side of the bracket just because everyone's.
I got a question on this because we just talked about how UNC is that bracket is the one that's could be up for grabs, weakest one seed, whole thing. So that seems like it could be the chaotic bracket. But is this bracket being looked at that just because everyone wants to fade Purdue and they're just like, I guess, banking on last year, but at this point it's Purdue's MO that they underperform in the tournament?
yeah.
Is that why you think everyone's
they-
talking? Oh, I don't know what's going to happen in
do
this bracket,
Shit
but
the bed last year. so.
it could easily be again like we've been talking about how you said it's Purdue, Houston, UConn. Those three teams they've been different from everyone else. I know we've said this. About
Yeah, but regular
Purdue.
season's not
I know
postseason.
we've said
Yeah.
this about Purdue in the past. Also, we said it last year. They got smoked. I get it, but
I think
is it? My point is all the Purdue is that just
I get no. It's bottom line.
is it
Katie,
momentum from the public that's just
Gene-
saying this side's gonna be the one that's gonna be a shit show.
Matt Painter has made a Final Four. Gene Katie, who's their Hall of Fame coach, didn't make a Final Four. And I think the big difference between the Midwest and the West is that I think a lot of people filling out brackets are probably equally as skeptical of North Carolina as a one and Purdue as a one. Like no one wants to put all one seeds in your Final Four. So you look at the weaker ones to
Right.
look elsewhere in your bracket. I think the difference between the Midwest and West is that when you look elsewhere in the West, you can go just about anywhere. Whereas in the Midwest, if you look elsewhere, you're really only looking at Tennessee and Creighton for the most part, as like them being two really strong teams that are top 10 in the metrics. And I think when people
I love Creighton, but I know you and I both talked about it.
yeah, I know. Creighton is the team I've been on all year. What I love about Creighton is they're really well coached and they have tourney creds in a way that Purdue or Tennessee don't. Creighton made the Elite Eight last year with a lot of the same team. I know they have Baylor Shireman, who's taken a step up from being a really good player to all Big East and one of the better players in the country. Kalkbrenner's still there. If you want a big white matchup between Zach Edey and Kalkbrenner, you can get in the Elite Eight. And then Trey Alexander's played really well. He hit a game winner in the Big East tournament, and he's played. And then McDermott, I know people thought he got the job just to get his son there, but he's been really good. And I think some of these big jobs that are open could do worse than McDermott. I know he's a little more up there, but he's a seasoned coach who's done really well at Creighton and really proved himself. But to touch on Purdue specifically, because I think that's all anyone really wants to talk about in this region, I don't think this is the Purdue of last year. I think one major thing that both Purdue and Virginia had in common, and they're the only two one seeds to lose to 16, is that they played really slow tempos. We were talking about like one of the 50 slowest teams out of 350, each of them. And I think when you play a really slow tempo or distinct tempo, if so you let even a 16 seed get you out of that rhythm, it could be hard.
to bring up.
Yeah. And then the other, this year, Purdue's playing bang average tempo, which I think is that gives them more flexibility to be able to play different styles and play well. And the other big thing is that last year, I know everyone thinks of them as just the Edey team. They're way more than that this year. Lance Jones is a transfer in, changed them, but most importantly, Braden Smith has gone from being a starter and a good player to all Big Ten and one of the better players, one of the better guards, and takes over games at some point. So that doesn't mean I think that you should not fade them if you feel that way. I think bottom line is at the end of the day in college basketball, your opinions matter more than anything. Like the tournament's its own beast, but I trust Purdue enough at least to make an Elite Eight personally.
Yeah, I think they have the bracket for it. I think their biggest hurdle might be, and I would love to hear your take about Kansas.
All right, so
Kansas and Tennessee. I just want to throw both those out because those are really in this. I like Creighton. I'm gonna probably put them in my Final Four, but out of this bracket, I think outside of that, you have Gonzaga, Purdue, and then you have Kansas and Tennessee are the other two teams that people are gonna look at. They're gonna want to know about.
So Kansas, first of all, they are a 5-man team. Like they are not deep at all. And now in the tournament, they're going to be a 4-man team because Lance McCullers today, it was announced that he's going to be out for the tournament. And he's been their second best player all year, their best guard. Hunter Dickinson, who is their best player, all Big 12, All-American, he's coming off an injury. Now he's expected to play. No idea how good. I think this is the most likely 13-4 upset. I think Samford's a strong 13 seed.
Kansas is just too hurt.
And Kansas, they had Nick Timberlake come in via transfer that was really highly coveted. And they had a couple of 5-star freshmen come in, and none of them have hit in the way they expected. This is the number one team in the preseason, almost by consensus. But they've never played like a top 10 team at all this season, and they're more hurt than they've been all season. So I would love to see Kansas at their full strength. I think they would show out better than they've done throughout the season if they were at full strength in the tournament. But I just don't see it now that they're this banged up. If they do it, then it's Bill Self's best coaching job ever. But I think Gonzaga's the most.
A lot of fun.
I think McNeese is a very tough first game. Like I said, Will Wade is their coach. Good defense, 31 wins, have beaten good teams.
5-12 upset.
That's Og the Dog's 5-12 upset, and he knows his ball. But if Gonzaga is able to survive that, I think Kansas or Samford shouldn't beat them. And a Gonzaga-Purdue game would be fascinating. I think Tennessee, like you talked about, great team. Like they are on paper to me from experience level. From Rick Barnes is an experienced coach and a good coach. He hasn't had the tourney success. He hasn't made a tournament since TJ Ford in Texas in 2002 or something like that.
Jeez.
But I think would be the most fascinating game in the tournament is if somehow Purdue and Tennessee got to the Elite Eight and played each other. It would be like an existential crisis for both of those fan bases.
What happens to Tennessee if they lose again? Because they haven't made a. Have they? Wait,
thing
they've
happens
never
to them
made a
every
Final
year.
Four. They've never made a Final Four.
Like
Right?
there's two things that everyone when they think of Tennessee always thinks about, and that's that they've never made a Final Four.
Yeah.
It's always that's all anyone thinks about. And that Peyton Manning went there and went 0-4 against Florida.
I knew a Peyton Manning thing was coming. I knew it.
Those are the two things.
I should have seen that coming.
We walked right into.
Should have seen that coming a mile.
For the listeners that don't know, the biggest Peyton Manning hater of all time is Mr. Chucky Hoops.
I'd like to call it realist, not hater, but
Facts are facts
So let me
opinions
just
are
for
opinions.
any listeners at home or viewers at home that were doing dishes or just got confused there, just for a second, let me repeat that. You're not mishearing. Tennessee has never made a Final Four, and Peyton Manning went 0-4 against Florida.
What was the last part? I didn't.
0-4 against Florida.
My headphones were off. I didn't hear.
Tennessee's only national title in the Common Era was when Peyton Manning graduated.
That. Got it.
It's incredible. I love it.
So
No,
the
but
Midwest,
this
Tennessee's game.
But this Tennessee team is
defense.
legit. Like I can't hate on them. Great defense. I know they didn't have a good SEC tournament. I don't put that much stock into your conference tournament. What you did all season is way more, I think, predictive of what you're going to be in the tournament.
They're one of these SEC teams that are more balanced, right? They have good offense, good defense.
They're experienced, great at defense, physical across the board, and they have something that they haven't had once in the Rick Barnes era, which is a scorer like Dalton Connect.
Right.
I think he's been up and down a little more lately than he was when he was just on fire scoring 40 every game. But that guy could go from every college basketball fan knowing him to everyone in America knowing him if they make a run, because he's just the type of guy who could just make a name for himself in this tournament like no one else. So I think Tennessee, Creighton, and Purdue is where I gravitate to in this region. I'm a big fan of Creighton. Like I said, they've rated really high in the metrics. I really like their tourney success they've had, and I like just the continuity they've had from past years. But man, I really hope Purdue does it just for their fans. I know some Purdue fans, and I know they are dying for a Final Four. They got their heart just absolutely broken
begging for
when Virginia hit that game winner 5 years ago when Virginia won the national title. They won one of the most ridiculous game winners ever, and Purdue would have made the Final Four. if we have anything similar like that with Purdue versus Tennessee or Creighton, it'll be just crazy.
All right, so anything else we got in the Midwest?
No, I think that about
We
covers
kind
it.
of ran, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I like Creighton at plus 475 to come out of the region. I think that's one of my favorite bets of the tournament, but I'm also just a crazy fan of Creighton this year.
So we
Yeah,
ran
I'm
the
big on
bracket.
Creighton, too.
We went through it. We went through all the regions. Over the head, who do you have winning this whole thing?
So I have UConn. I do some secondary brackets sometimes. I like to have one main bracket, everything I really think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Some other teams that I think are really capable of winning I would have Houston number 2 in my overall. Sure. And then I would group, honestly, like 6 or 7 teams together in that next group. I really like Tennessee this year. I think they have all the makings of a team who can win a national title. I like Iowa State, just what they've proven in the toughest conference. I like Purdue. I like Creighton. I like UNC and Marquette. And then the other team that
Long Beach State Beaches.
Arizona and Auburn, those two teams.
Really quick, Houston plus 575. Iowa State, you just dropped them. I love that. Plus 2,000.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Well,
To me,
I know they're a long shot, but the way you
offense.
talked about it,
No, yeah,
I almost got a chub when you were talking about Iowa State.
UConn, where's UConn as plus 400 around there?
They're plus 400. Exactly, they're plus 400.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Where's Auburn in that?
Auburn is the same as Iowa State, plus 2,000. And so, and Marquette is at 2,500.
So Auburn is a team that's rated really highly in the metrics, and that makes me raise an eyebrow because it changed how I think about them. I really don't like their backcourt. Like, I think their set of 2 guards is just not what you're used to under Bruce Pearl.
Sure.
But you can't argue with what they've accomplished this season, how they've looked in big games. But I'm fading them a little bit. But if you're looking for a long shot team, that could be a team we look back and say it was all the signs were there.
Cool.
By the way, Long Beach State Beach. Anyone want?
Beaches. No.
No,
Wait,
it's-
is it
I'm
Long
looking
Beach-
at-
Long
Beach-
Beach
it's-
State
Beach.
University
Beach.
I'm just saying, I'm about to place a bet on them.
What is it?
I'm actually not going to do it.
No,
but
don't put a national title bet.
Long Beach State, Long Beach State Beach is what it says.
Okay, so what is it at?
They are, Jesus, such a big number.
Is there any
One
other
carry the
school that could have? It feels like Arkansas Little Rock Rocks or something. What other team could possibly have
it's
a
like-
double?
Like the Miami Beach. No, it would be the
Yeah. Usually
New
there's-
York City cities.
Yeah, there's usually not a noun in your name like that.
Yeah, they're 1,000 to 1 odds.
I'll take it all the way.
Look,
They're
that's like
telling
a
you,
Leicester
1,000
City
to 1.
situation.
We went through the bracket. I want to go through some first round bets that I have, and I want to hear Chucky's opinions on them, and then we'll get into other stuff. All right, so first bets, round 1. These
Hit
are my
me with
thoughts.
them, hit me with-
I just want to hear your thoughts on them, and you tell me if I'm
I haven't run the algo yet, but I'll react.
exactly okay. I want the South Dakota State Iowa State game. I want the under at 135.5. I got minus 110.
I don't hate that at all.
Nice.
I know. I think Iowa State could find their offense in that game,
Okay.
but Iowa State under has been a bet all season. The under against Houston hit by 20 points, and it was
Exactly.
set at like 120.
Exactly. I just don't like.
I wonder. My only worry is that it's Iowa State under so public at this point that I wonder if you're like a little bit of value losing there with them.
So my
I
theory.
mean, what's the under? Is 130?
135.
135.
I could tell you
135
right
and a
now
half,
that Ken Palm has the prediction at 138, but that's not adjusted for neutral site. Usually, tourney games and championship games and things like that are a little lower than.
I think it's
than
the first game, maybe
projected.
a
No, I
nervous.
don't. I like it.
And by the way, with all these bets, I'm going to do a parlay at the end. So just so you know, just so you know, it's going to be an awful bet at the end, but individual, and then we'll parlay. All right, so my second bet, Akron versus Creighton. I got Akron. Sorry, Akron. Listen to me.
Akron.
Aaron.
Akron.
Akron versus Creighton. I have Akron at plus 12.5 at minus 110.
I don't hate that. Akron's a good team. That's the Dawg's team. Enrique Freeman. He loves Enrique
He
Freeman.
does love Enrique
He does.
Freeman.
He does.
All right. So
I like Creighton to make a run, but I could definitely
Zips?
see
What are they,
that.
the Zips? The
The
Akron
zips. The zips. Pretty sure that's where Jason Taylor went. Little
Really?
Dolphins connection.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Good information.
Yeah.
All right, McNeese versus Gonzaga. This is one of our big upsets. This was the Dog's big upset?
Yeah, the Dog's favorite
His
12-5.
favorite.
So I saw them going at 150.5, and I want to take the under.
150 and a half under.
150.5. It was
Yeah.
at minus 110.
I like that.
I feel like
50?
that was a high. That was a high point.
Gonzaga changed their offense during West Coast play and started to get better. But Will Wade, what he is a defensive coach. I'm looking at McNeese's like profile right now. At least in conference play, they played pretty low possession games. 6 of their last 8 games have been under 70 possessions, which is on the lower end for college basketball.
Okay, so you like it.
I don't hate it. They're 283 in tempo. Now, I don't know if Gonzaga's be able to dictate their will and kind of control the game, but it makes sense.
Kev, did you just throw out like
Yeah, I'm
awesome
throwing
picks?
dimes. I'm
You're throwing dimes right now?
All right. Let's see.
Crushing
if we
these-
can go in it.
crushing
I have
these
notes here. I
picks.
haven't even had to go into my notes because he hasn't talked shit yet. So like he's just agreeing with me.
You're like, I see you here. You were
I'm
ready
not
to
even-
go, and he's
yeah.
just, nah, man, I love all your picks. And you're just like, damn, I was
I don't
ready.
even know
I
what
was
to do.
ready to argue these.
All right, ready? I got Charleston versus Alabama. All right.
Okay.
I got the total at 175. No, sorry, 173 and a half.
Okay.
Okay, I got the under going there at minus 110. Wait,
What did you say the total was?
was 173 and a half. It's a lot.
Oh, that's very high.
Alabama
just
scores. Yeah.
I get it. They're like a first to 100 team.
So this is one of those matchups where it's 2 completely different styles. Where Alabama's been playing possessions in the 80s. When I look at over-unders, I like to look at the possessions expected more than anything. But they're just, obviously, no one plays like Alabama when it comes to...
So the thing I saw about Alabama is Alabama gets a lot of points off turnovers. Charleston never turnovers.
Okay.
So fewer possessions for Alabama. My theory
Right.
is fewer possessions, fewer chances. Still a high scoring game. It's at 173 and a half. But I'm just taking off a few possessions, trying to get the under. I did see Charleston at plus 9.5. I don't know if that's a good bet. I was looking at it. It's also at minus 110. What do you think about that one?
I think Charleston... In fact, I like all the 13-4s more... Like 12-5s obviously are more likely to win because they're closer in quality between each other. But I could see a lot of close 13-4 games. Like I mentioned Samford earlier. I think Yale and Auburn is like a fascinating matchup. I think Auburn's much better than Yale. But anytime you have this huge disparity in style of play, in a style makes fights kind of situation, I think you just never know what happens when 2 completely different teams meet. If Yale is able to impose their tempo and take control of it, I could definitely see Auburn getting uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yale's one of the slowest teams, and Auburn's one of the fastest.
Look at that 173 over. Because I'm just
No,
like,
I'm saying under. I'm saying the under.
I know, but I'm saying like whatever. What's the 173 point total? On that, I'm actually surprised that they put it that high.
It's the implied on Ken Palm. If you just take the efficiencies on each side, it's like 176.
That's crazy because if you think about it,
I think that's a sharp line. Like
well,
it's-
I know.
it's-
To me, that's just crazy because like when I look at college basketball over under, and again, like I'm college basketball for dummies kind of guy. Like I bet this is the only time of year I do it. The only time I pay attention. So. But when I look at over-unders and I see that, I'm like, okay, say it's a close game. That means both of these points are scoring over. Both of these teams are scoring over 80 points in a close game.
Oh, yeah.
Like how many college basketball games? I can't even remember that
Alabama-
many games. And I get it. I know because I know, and I know Alabama has just been super run and gun. Like they only score. So I don't have an issue. I think they could get to 80, but let's say if it's not a close game and they blow them out, they're gonna have to blow them out and still score like 90 points to cover.
that's what
That
they
is an
do.
NBA.
That's
You're gonna
what
have to put NBA offense.
But Alabama's
in-
offense is ridiculous.
The
I understand, but you have to play an NBA offense in the amount of time that you have a college football game, a college
score-
basketball
Yeah,
game, which
I see what
is
you're
shorter
saying. I see
games.
what
the implied score, according to like Ken Palm, is 93-82.
There you go.
Now I usually come off that a little bit because it's neutral game. I think Charleston will has something to say of it too, but it's crazy. Like
Yeah,
Alabama.
no, I get it. Like
Yeah,
I
but-
know Vegas knows more than I do and Ken Palm and stuff, but I see that lot and I'm like, there's just
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't take it if it was like at 140, like one of the 150s, 160s. I would say
No,
no,
yeah.
I
See,
wouldn't
there
want
I
that.
would
I
actually
wouldn't
bet
want
the
that
I would
juice.
bet the over there. But like 173, if I'm thinking, okay, say this game's close, I just don't think it would. I don't know if it's gonna be a close game. If it's a close game, they score 80 points each,
Yeah.
and if it's a blowout, Bama's just score so many points. It could obviously Vegas knows better, but I just don't have the stones to bet the over. On it.
Alabama's last 3 games, and this is like when they need to win games, their totals have been 190, 170, and 192.
Do they just like
191 before that.
let the other team dribble down the court and score every
against
time? Like, is that what
against
they do?
Kentucky, it's 212. Against Florida, it was
That's,
191.
that's what we were saying. Alabama has no defense.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
they
Like,
just.
this is
But it's
crazy.
also because they play so fast. Like they're the second fastest when they have the ball. Second fastest team just
you said
getting
who
a shot.
was the
in.
first one? You said it earlier, didn't you?
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, I have my last bet.
All right, give it to us.
Ready?
Yep.
Colgate versus Baylor. Okay, this is the 3-14. 3-14. All right, I know Baylor's the favorite here, but I'm gonna go Colgate at plus 13.5 for minus 105.
I don't hate it at all. Colgate, slow team.
Did I just go 5-0 right
No,
now? Chucky
I mean,
Hoops?
Chucky Hoops just gave
Listen,
you the
Did I just go
blessing.
5-0?
I think Chucky Hoops just said we got to
Take the
slam.
notes.
The Alabama one. I didn't
Slam-
like.
Take
The
the
Alabama
notes.
one. I didn't
Slam a
like.
5-leg
Burn the
parlay.
notes out.
Chucky Hoops just said it. Slam the 5-leg parlay,
Oh,
guys.
that's all I heard, dude. That's it. That's all I heard.
We got a 5-leg lay sponsored by Chucky Hoops.
There's another one of those style makes fights where Colgate plays slow. They're known for like passing the ball and really taking their time on offense. And Baylor gets up and down, really good backcourt. So that's another one I'm looking forward to.
What
watching.
did you say that like these like neutral site tournament games sometimes it lends more to the team that plays like the slower, less scoring just because
I was wrong about Baylor. They play slow. So
I know, okay,
That's
but
insane.
just my point is like these slower teams, like during these tournament games, when you have these running gun teams, sometimes they, you said they get cold. It just you see it all the time.
you do, but I don't think it's because it's the tournament or neutral site. I just think cold it's the biggest thing in the tournament is that it's a 1 game sample.
Yeah.
And like the variance, anything can happen in 1 game. Like we said, Miami last year could have easily lost to Drake in the first round and you'd be bemoaning like a bad turning run. Instead, they survived that game and were able to make the Final Four. Florida in 2000 hit like a ridiculous buzzer beater by Mike Miller to beat Butler. They were losing. But like when the clock hit 0, they were losing. The ball went in. They won that game, made the national title game and lost to Michigan State. Like the thin margins just to survive the first round in the tournament. It's just crazy. There's just so much variance in what can happen.
And it's what you were saying too. If one of these teams ends up beating a 1 seed, then they have an easy route all the way through.
Yeah, they take over the 1 seed's earned side of the bracket, their matchups.
I can't wait.
So then
No,
that's
it's
it.
the
We're
best.
done. We're done with
The-
college basketball. The madness
Bring
has
on the
started.
madness. That's all.
I
My
think
last
one
take on
thing-
is bring on the madness.
We got to talk about the absolute madness it is that I hope you guys are joining me on, which is
Ooh,
Oh,
yes,
that's
of
right.
course.
which is like all season. I love betting college basketball. To me, college basketball and college football are my 2 favorites. Betting both of them are my favorites. The Chucky Hoops moniker is all fun, and like my favorite thing to do is like I just love the like how basketball analytics and college basketball has evolved and like all the info that's there, and I love using that to try to target lines that I think are wrong and trying to find value in picks. I think I had a really good year betting that this year. The tournament, throw all that out the window. We're not targeting. We are
Give us
sitting
the
there.
madness, baby.
We're sitting. I'm not betting any first 4 game because I'm so against tourney expansion. I don't even believe in 68 team. I wait till there's 64 teams. When there's 64 teams, and we start that Thursday at noon,
I respect it.
I will
respect
be
it. I respect it.
100% locked and loaded, ready to bet every single
Every
tournament game.
game, dude.
64
Let's go.
bets?
63 bets. 63 bets.
63 bets.
Until we have a champion, I will be betting every single game. It is not.
I already told you, sir. I'm joining you. 63
I
bets.
can't wait.
I'm going to do it. You want to join us?
Yeah.
And
What are we doing here? Of course.
There will be games that I have opinions. I hope there's games that you guys have. Those 5 right there, I could already tell you I'm tailing Kev on those right there.
Yeah. I'm telling you on those two.
And
Let's
we
go,
have-
baby.
it's
So I
it's
gotta-
a
should I
team
make-
effort.
should I make my
It's
own,
war.
uh,
It's
So
war.
So I got a question. Obviously, there's going to be a war of attrition. Like
No,
just
it's-
like 63.
I can guarantee you right
63
now,
bets,
we're not all gonna
63
survive.
bets is going to be like that's brutal. Like, we're going to have some. I just imagine we're going to have some dark, brutal runs, some miserable beats, some moments of like pure. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Brother, you have no idea. We went.
I'm also I'm doing 63 bets, but I'm cutting my units in half on
Yeah.
this. I'm not a psychopath
absolutely.
like
That's the right
Carl.
thing.
Like,
Guys,
like
oh,
Chucky
you know what?
Hoops.
Again, we didn't do our disclaimer. Gamble responsibly.
No, yeah, no.
Gamble
This is-
responsibly?
This is the funnest way to watch March Madness, but chop your units a tenth of the way.
Quarter,
Do what you
whatever.
gotta
Yeah,
do.
do what you gotta-
What you want is when 4 games are ending at once on Thursday and Friday, you want to have action on all 4, and you want every time there's a buzzer beater going up for it to affect your mood. And
I mean, it's like
you
what,
want to
every-
feel something.
It's every
you wanna
10
feel
minutes
something.
there's like
Yeah,
a game
I just,
ending.
I
Isn't it
just
something crazy like that?
I know this is like the most degenerate thing to say, but I just want the action.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's
I
just-
just, there's so much going
I just
on.
want to feel something.
yeah, no, you do.
Just wanna
It's just
feel something.
it's the best weekend of the year, and why not make the best weekend of the year just mean a little bit more?
So I want to promote one thing real quick. Chucky Hoops, talk about your bracket.
That's right. I've been running a bracket.
Oh,
I have it here. I've been running a bracket on CBS Sports since 2008.
Wow.
I have it here.
It's the only bracket I do every year.
That's right. It's $20 a person. This for the first time ever we have a sponsor. Big Dance 2024, presented by First Step Podcast.
There it is.
Baby.
So if any of you hear this in time and are willing to join, just let any of us know your email and we'll add you to the bracket right away.
Yeah, go ahead and DM us.
I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like most of our listeners are probably already in the bracket.
I don't know how many listeners we have, but I expect to see them in the
Chucky Hoops,
standings there.
I'll explain to you. We have 2 listeners. We have Tommy. We have Tommy, who's disappointed by
Tommy
his
Two
son.
Gloves.
And we have my mother, who's a beautiful lady who does not know anything about college, anything, or sports in general.
Listen,
but they're great listeners, and we
But
thank
but
you
they'll
for it.
each have a bracket in the Kevin
We'll
and I
make it
may
for
have
him.
2 brackets.
We may- anything else on college basketball?
No, if anyone wants to join with us, we'll,
Just make sure
we'll
you
be
guys
posting
DM us,
those
follow us.
picks.
Yeah, you'll see Og the Dog, Chucky Hoops, some of our picks constantly. Check us, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter, whatever it's called. That's it.